Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome to our fourth day of our Vraja-mandala Parikrama. And today we've got a very, very powerful Parikrama indeed. We'll start off with Imli-tala, and then we'll go to Seva-kunja and absorb ourselves there. Then we'll come around the corner. It's a very short Parikrama, but it's very, very powerful Parikrama. All the acharyas are going to be present with us today. We're going to discuss many of them. And then after Radha-Damodara, we'll just go up the street, if you're familiar with Vrindavan, towards Loy Bazaar, to the Radha-Shyamsundara temple. And we'll meet Shyama there and Baladevi Dibushan there. So this is our schedule for today. But first we'll have a little kirtan and invoke the presence of the divine personalities who will support us. Without this presence, nothing can really transpire.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyamane Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasyasya Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshavariti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Munindra Vrindavandite Triloka Shokahare Prashana Vaktra Pankaje Nikunja Bhuvilasini Rajendra Bhanu Nandini Rajendra Shunu Sangate Kada Karishyasi Yamam Kripata Dakshavachanam Ashoka Vrikshavallari Vitana Mandapasite Pravala Vala Pallava Prabhanurangri Komale Varabhaya Suratkare Prabhuta Sampradalaye Sada Karishyasi Yamam Kripata Karshavachanam Anangaranga Mandala Prasanga Mangula Ruvam Savikramam Sasambamam Vikanta Vana Patane Nirantaram Vashikrita Pratiti Nandanandane Radha-Damodara Shyamam Kripakatashavachanam Kadit Suvarna Jambaka Kadit Gaura Vigrahe Mukha Prabha Parasta Koti Sharadendu Mandale Vichitra Chitra Sancharashtra Kora Savalochane Sada Karishyasi Yamam Kripata Dakshavachanam Manonadati Yovane Pramodamana Mandite Priyanuraga Rangite Kala Vilasa Mandite Ananya Nanya Kunjarajate Vike Vikovide Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripata Dakshavachanam Ashesha Bhavadina Hira Hara Bhushite Prabhuta Shata Kumbha Kumbha Kumbhi Kumbha Sutani Prashasta Nanda Hasya Chuna Swarga Swarga Sagare Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripata Dakshavachanam Vallari Karanga Ranga Dolate Latadralasya Lolani Lalochana Galokane Dalalulam Milanvano Namo Namo Anashite Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripakatashavachanam Suvarna Malikanshita Vireka Kambukam Gage Trisutra Mangali Guna Triratna Dipti Dipti Salola Nila Kundala Pasuna Kucha Gumpite Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripakatashavachanam Ikamba Bindalandamana Pushpane Kalagune Prashastaratna Indini Kalapavadya Manjule Karinda Shunda Dandika Varoha Sobagoroke Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripakatashavachanam Ananta Bhautanagaman Purada Vaskalatsamajarajahansavam Shanikvarati Gaurave Vilola Hemavalari Vidam Vicharu Changame Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripakatashavachanam Ananta Koti Vishnu Kanama Padma Jatite Imadija Palomada Virincha Javarakate Amara Siti Vividi Jasatparangulinake Kadakarishyasi Yamam Kripakatashavachanam Madheshwari Swayeshwari Swadeshwari Sureshwari Suveda Bharateshwari Pramana Sharaneshwari Rameshwari Sameshwari Pramana Kananeshwari Rajeshwari Vrajadike Viradike Namostute Iti Mama Bhutam Savam Vishamya Madhulandini Karotu Santatam Janam Kripakadakshabhayanam Naiva Sanchita Trirupatam Nashanam Bhavettakaya Jaya Sunama Darshanam Sucharu Vakramandalam Sukarna Ratna Kundalam Sucharchitanga Chandanam Namami Nandanandanam Sudhirga Netra Pankajam Shiki Shikanda Murtajam Ananda Koti Mohanam Namami Nandanandanam Nasitagra Moktikam Swachanda Danta Pantikam Navambudanga Kirtanam Namami Nandanandanam Narena Rena Ranjitam Jakula Eka Somanam Sukula Pika Shomanam Namami Nandanandanam Deha Sundaram Natajuti Sudakaram Amulya Ratna Bhushanam Namami Nandanandanam Yudanda Anga Solabam Virati Kaustubam Surachihasalanchanam Namami Nandanandanam Navana Sunagaram Vilasanukavarshanam Surendra Varpamochanam Namami Nandanandanam Rajandana Shunayakam Sada Sukha Pradayakam Jagandana Pralobanam Namami Nandanandanam Nandanandanashtakam Pravedya Shraddhayam Gita Karedbhava Hindustaram Pravedtaram Viyumatam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Shri Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Gaur Premanande, Hari
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 Bol.
Bol. Jai Shri Shri Guru Guranga Ganhavika Girit Hari. Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Radha Govinda Ju Ki Jai. Radha Gopinath Ju Ki Jai. Nityananda Rai Ki Jai. Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Vraja-mandala Parikrama 2023 Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasata Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasata Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasata Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasata Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Vidibhushan Gaudi Acharya Ki Jai. Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai. Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhata Dasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarab-Damodara Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsad Ki Jai. Nama Charja Shalhardas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikha Hol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gauda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Ki Jai. Brihat Mridanga Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Nam Vachan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Gopishwa Mahadev Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautandvip Madhidvip Koladvip Rijadvip Janadvip Modandvip Rudadvip Aptangadavadvip Dham Ki Jai. Mandiravan, Baduravan, Bailvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadyavan, Kamyavan, Vraja-mandala Ki Jai. Vraja-mandala Ki Jai. Ujjvara Vrat, Ujjar Vrat Ki Jai. Damodar Vrat Ki Jai. Chatumasya Vrat Ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantamana Petyama Petikrityam Vaipayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tamayatayo Tadlavyostam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munmanatoshmi Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavad Dinokalam Smarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Parata Sundarata Dikatamba Sandipita Sadahridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptas Chakarmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde namaste charanarvindam. Bhajami radham aravindanetram. Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam. Vadami radham karunabharadram. Tato mamanasti katyena kapi. Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina. Iti vignaya radhe tvam nayamam charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev Nitya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasata Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasata Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. I'm offering my prostrated Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubevacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnave Namaha. So today, we're not traveling very far externally, but we're traveling a long way internally. Very, very profound places today. Basically, we're going to be circumambulating Gopinath Bhavan. Normally, after Radha-Damodara, we would go to Sringaravat. But the program has been changed today, and the devotees are going to Radha-Shyamsundara, which is up a little bit. But in essence, we'll be connecting with this area. This whole area is called Seva-kunja. The whole area is called Seva-kunja. So we, first of all, come to Imlitala, which is immediately next door to Gopinath Bhavan. A very, very potent place. This was where Krishna, when he separated himself from Radha after the Ras Leela had been going on. We mentioned this pastime the other day. And then Radharani, she sees how Krishna is dancing with all the other gopis. And all the other gopis were feeling this Saubhagyavati, this feeling of being the greatest, most fortunate women in the whole universe. And they were, and they still are. But at the same time, Radharani could perceive that there's some discord here. This is not going to bring every breath of Sri Radhika is designed to enhance the joy and pleasure of Krishna. So she can perceive that actually this whole Rasa Leela can come to another level. First of all the different camps of the gopis, they have to be reconciled with each other. The Vipaksh, the Surit Tatashta, and the Swapaksh, these four camps of gopis. These are all designed that way to increase the rasa within Vrindavan. It's full of dynamism. It's not at all flat like Shantaras. It's filled with very powerful exchanges. So part of the enhancement of those exchanges comes about by all the intrigues that go on, particularly between Chandravali and Krishna and Radha. We know that Chandravali is in fact the cousin sister of Radhika. But if Chandravali was not there, then basically there would be no waves on the Staibar, on the ocean. So because of Chandravali's nature, which is contrary to Radhika's nature, then there's this increasing speciality within Radhika. But it's not only within Radhika, it's within all the gopis. They all have to come up. They all respond to these different flavors that are manifesting between them. So Radhika, she can perceive that there's some, it can come to a higher level. And at the same time, always wanting to bring Krishna to her side. This is the nature of the Swadina Bhartika heroine. Always she wants the Nayak to be submissive to her. This is when she's most satisfied. So she perceives this, and then she leaves the Ras Lila. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes there are 300 billion gopis. So don't ever try to materially calculate that, because they've all got two parents. That brings it up to 600 billion. They've probably got brothers. That'll bring it up to another 300 billion on top of that, so etc. So it's all completely inconceivable, achintya. But we get the idea of the colossal nature of this remarkable. This is the crest jewel of all Krishna's pastimes. This beautiful verse, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusyam Deha Ashritata Bhajate Tad Rishi Kritva Yashrutva Tatparo Bhavet. Krishna manifests in the human-like form to show his beauty and sweetness of his pastimes, to attract the conditioned souls to meditating on him rather than themselves. So Radhika, she leaves the Ras Leela, and instantly, without missing a breath, Krishna also leaves. Because the Ras, even though there's 300 billion of the most divine, attractive goddesses in existence, Krishna is not interested without Radha. Radha is the original. She's the flavor. So Krishna follows, and he pacifies her man in Shringaravat. So we won't visit Shringaravat today. Normally we would, but we won't today. But it's connected with this pastime in Imlitala. So when Radhika, Krishna asks her, does she want to keep walking or does she want to go to a flower bed? Radhika at that time, I've explained before, feels a mood of dakshin bhav, submissiveness. So she says, I don't care, you can take me where you want. So, because Radhika can hear the wails of separation from the other gopis who are looking for her. Radhika is completely in tune with all the other gopis, and they are completely in the extremity of separation. It's described that they're roaming around the forest like a bunch of mad women. They're talking to all the trees and the bushes, where is Krishna? They're talking to the deer, etc. They're searching desperately for Krishna. They've just been intoxicated by his association, and all of a sudden it's finished. So they're separate. As high as their meeting was, their separation simultaneously is the same. This is the nature of meeting and separation. So Radhika is aware that she wants the gopis to catch up. She's thinking at this point in time, oh, I want to share Krishna. Now I've been alone with Krishna. He's pacified me. He's decorated my hair. We've had some wonderful exchanges, but now I want my girlfriends to be with me. When her girlfriends are with her, she feels very happy, and she knows that this is pleasing Krishna. So at this point, she tells Krishna, well, she doesn't mind whether she goes to a flower bed or she keeps walking. And Krishna says, all right, I'll carry you if you're tired. And he squats down to put Radha on his shoulders. And Radhika at that point, and then she goes to climb on Krishna's back, but then Krishna disappears. And instantly, Radhika is feeling, how proud was I to think that I was going to sit on my beloved's shoulders. She condemns her action because she thinks immediately this is the reason why Krishna has disappeared, to purify this pride in me. Of course, there are many, many, many other considerations, but we should understand from Radhika, her separation at that point, because these separation moods, they take the gopis such to an internal place of attraction to Krishna. It's so powerful as the external meeting was. They come inside. At this point, Radhika, she says this beautiful verse, Hey Nata Ramana Preshta Kwasi Kwasi Mahapuja Dasyaste Kripamaya Me Sake Darshaya Sanidim. That, oh, my strong-armed lover, where have you gone? Come to this wretched servant of yours. I am bereft without your company. She's crying like this. And when Krishna leaves her there, then he comes to Imlitala. where we've just arrived at with our Parikrama party today. So Krishna comes to the... Previously, this is a tamarind tree. Imli means tamarind. It was a huge, huge, huge tree. And my Gurudev describes it's the same soul, but in a different body, the tree, because that original tree has left this world, but that soul inhabited another tree in the same place. So it's the same soul in the, when we see in the courtyard, that Imli tree, it's the same Imli tree that was there when Krishna was sitting under it. And Krishna is sitting, and as much separation as Radhika is experiencing, Krishna is also experiencing the same separation from Radhika. His absorption in Radhika at that time is so intense, more intense than it's ever been previously, because this Rasalila on Sara Purnima had never taken place until this particular time. So it's like the whole festival had culminated in this pastime. And Krishna, he's feeling at that point the most intense separation from Radhika. And in that intense separation, he takes her kanti, he takes her mood and her bhav, her complexion, this golden complexion. Radha, what's that? Chinta, Radha Chinta Niveshanam, Yasya Shanti Vilopani. This verse. Radha Chinta Niveshanam, Yasya Shanti Vilopani. Shri Krishna Charanam Vande, Radha Linkita Vigraha. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, he's written this beautiful verse in his Astakam, describing the nature of Krishna when he goes completely golden. This is like the prototype, we can say, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is how Mahaprabhu is going to manifest in the world. This is the first time that Krishna is experiencing this change in color completely. So this is heralding what Krishna will do in the future, in fact. Because even though this mood is so intense, separation, there is so much bliss within the separation. So this, the conditioned materialist can't understand. When we are in separation, we are unhappy. That's the end of it. But when Krishna is in deep separation, or the gopis are in deep separation, they come internally into a place of internal union with the Lord. This is where it leads. It leads into union internally. There's Mohan and Modan. These are the stages of Madana, like Mohanakya Mahabhav, the highest stage, when the 8 Sattvika bhavs can be blazing. It's possible in this condition. When these Sattvika bhavs, they are the bhavs that pertain to the complete material body. The energy is impacting everything in the body, the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They are all impacted by these tremendous feelings of either separation or union. So both the Mohan and the Madan, both of these moods will intensify to a pitch where these Sattvika bhavs are all at their very highest. That's called Sudipta. Sudipta is when they're blazing fully. There's Domyata, that's smoldering. Then there's Ujjwalita, that's blazing. Then there's Dipta, Udipta, and Sudipta. 5 different stages of intense, either in Mohan, meeting, or separation, or in meeting, in Madan. So Krishna, he's experiencing this in Imlitala. And this is heralding the advent of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So we always think and speak about Mahaprabhu when we come to this incredible holy place of Imlitala, and we hear exactly the pastime that I've described to you in a little bit more detail, perhaps. But so Mahaprabhu, when he came 5,000 years later, he would sit for many, many hours under this Imli tree, remembering this mood that had impacted his heart at that time, and remembering clearly the separation mood that he was feeling from Sri Radhika at that time. The sadhak, he needs to hear these types of pastimes. We've discussed in our Jaiva there is Vaidhi Bhakti and there is Raganuga Bhakti. This is quite clearly described. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is encouraging us towards the path of Rag Marg, because this is the path that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is gifting to the jivas at this time. Vaidhi Bhakti was there since the beginning of time, basically, this worshipping in great Aishwarya and awe and reverence, worshipping Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha, etc. There are so many personalities who achieve Vaikuntha from their very reverential puja, etc. But this selective, unique path of Ragmarg, it's saying Premaras Niryase Korite Ashvadan. This means Mahaprabhu has come for the specific reason to taste his own prem. That prem within the heart of Sri Radhika. That is his prem. That's called Unnata Ujvala Ras. And this is what he's come to taste. But he's come to distribute to the jiva this Rag Marg Bhakti Loke, Karite Prajan. And we should never ever forget this. This is what Mahaprabhu has come to gift the jiva. So this is a very elevated state of consciousness. It requires strict sadhana initially to actually purify the jiva. Vidhi Mag Ratadane Swadhinatna Ratna Jane Rag Mag Karune Pravesh. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying when that Vaidhi Mag becomes completely purified, then we become qualified to actually enter this world of rag. But at the same time, this is not the path in the sense that unless we're focusing on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, that is not going to carry us into that path of Bhav Bhakti. Vikriditam Brajapadupi etam cha Vishnu Shadan Vitu Nushrunyat Arthavaranyamya Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Karamam Hridrogam Asab Api Nati. That it's saying we should hear these pastimes of Radha and Krishna, Shradan Vito, under the realized soul's guidance. And after hearing these pastimes, then Pratilabhyam, this bhakti will rise in the heart. It doesn't rise before. How can it rise before? How can we be attracted to Raganuga Bhakti before we've listened to the pastimes about Ragmarg? How is it conceivable? It's like if ever we read the Upadeshamrita. The Upadeshamrita is 11 verses. The first verse, Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, etc., Atyahara Prayas, these verses. But unless you read the 11th verse first, why should you be inspired to make such a big, diligent effort to control your senses? For what reason? Because you want to be a yogi? Because you want to be liberated? Are these the reasons? But if the reason is to actually enter that transcendental world of the Rag Atmikas within Goloka Vrindavan, then we must read about the 11th verse first. So if anyone's ever studying that particular book, we should examine the 11th verse first and get the inspiration, and then it all makes sense. Of course I want to control my senses. Of course I want to fully immerse myself in that sadhana practice. You understand? So my Gurudev, particularly in this beautiful essay at the beginning of Venugit, if you look at the introduction to Venugit, he explains he explains that verse that I already said, that Anugrahaya Bhaktanam, that it is imperative that we hear about these topics, even though we are so unqualified. But at the same time, how will qualification come? It's a catch-22. So Mahaprabhu is sitting in Imlitala and he's experiencing that Mohan Akya Mahabhav, that separation mood that Krishna experienced at that time. not the mood that Radhika was experiencing. That mood he experiences in Puri. When he arrives in Puri, that's when that Radha Bhav fully manifests in the heart of Mahaprabhu. That is in potential within the heart of Mahaprabhu. But it hasn't arisen until he goes to the school of Ramananda Rai. And when he comes to Vrindavan, he's already been to that school. He's already been to Ramananda Rai. But at the same time, that immersion in Puri hasn't manifested yet to the same degree, because it's in Puri that Mahaprabhu, he demonstrates those conditions in when he becomes like a pumpkin, or he becomes in the ocean, all his limbs elongated, etc. This is shocking for the devotees when they see their beloved Lord in such a deformed condition. It breaks their hearts completely. His mouth is salivering, his eyes are rolled back, all his limbs have been brought into his body. Their hearts are just like trembling. This is why Puri Dham is called Aishwarya Dham, because these exhibitions of these sattvika bhavs that Mahaprabhu is experiencing in Puri are of, to somebody see, they're not human-like pastimes. These don't happen to the human body. They only happen to God, because there's never been a time in history when someone else has exhibited the extremity of those sattvika bhavs in their body. So this is beyond Nara Lila. Madhurya Lila means it's confined within the human-like pastimes of Nara Lila. So this is not Nara Lila, when Mahaprabhu is making his body, or he becomes through his ecstasies in such a condition. He can't actually tolerate the separation mood. And when he goes to beg Radhika for her mood previously, Radhika tells him, you will not be able to tolerate my moods. A woman has the capacity to actually tolerate more than a man. We're not talking about material men and women. Nevertheless, Radhika has the power. She is Shakti. She has the power to tolerate these moods. But Krishna, he doesn't have the power to tolerate these moods. Therefore, his body bursts open like a pumpkin. All his limbs become elongated because his body can't tolerate the intensity of those bhavs that he's experiencing. He's experiencing, because when he is carried back to the Gambhira, then he starts to relate where he was. Or why did you all make such a noise with the kirtan? I was so happy. I was with Radha and Krishna. I was watching their pastimes. And then when he's in the ocean, he's watching their pastimes in the Jamuna. And there's a very, very beautiful description by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj. Krishnadas Kaviraj goes into such detail about the different lotuses colliding with each other. And the gopis are trying to hide within the river Jamuna. And Krishna's finding them out. Their faces are looking like lotuses because they're so beautiful. And Krishna, he can't distinguish, is it a lotus or is it the gopis? And he's searching for, but this is an extraordinary pastime. And Krishnadas Kaviraj has the potency to actually gift this to us. For what purpose? To inspire us towards this meditation on Raganuga Bhakti. If all day long we're just running, working, doing so many different activities, and if we're not finding at least a few hours in the early morning, at least, to focus and have concentrated chanting or bhajan, then how will these truths, or how will these moods that Mahaprabhu wants to give to us ever manifest? They won't. They're not just going to come by magic. It's not, oh yes, I do my 16 rounds a day, I go to the Arti, Hare Krishna, and then that's enough. No, it's actually not enough. It'll keep us steady, engaged in the practices of bhakti, but it won't carry us through to the stage of bhav bhakti unless we actually study carefully the books of Rupa Goswami, the books of Sanatan Goswami, the books of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the books of Jiva Goswami. All of these granthas that these noble, esteemed, exalted personalities have gifted to the world. Why? Because they are only now these books have actually manifested in the last 500 years. And we know that previously, even 500 years ago, these books were not so prominent in the marketplace. You couldn't actually get these books. But it's only recently that they've become really popularized. Why? Because as Kali descends into the darkness more and more and more, Mahaprabhu's mercy and his melting heart of compassion will manifest more and more to the jiva. He will offer us more and more opportunity to come into this path. So when we come to this wonderful place of Imli-tala, we are meditating on the separation that Krishna felt when he had left Sri Radhika after the Ras Leela, and we're remembering how Mahaprabhu, he also sat in this place of Imlitala, and right beside the Jamuna. So this is an extraordinary pastime, and it's very profound. And the devotees, the sadhaks, should meditate on these pastimes and their significance. And how can I relate to this with my own existence, with my own tiny, short birth? How can I, because it's so completely foreign. There's nothing relevant to my material situation because it's transcendental. This just indicates how absolutely material and mundane I am. Because we can't appreciate transcendence. So for many, they just give it up, and it's too much to actually go that route. So they actually sit back but then there's a danger. Then the two witches, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavat Pischachi Hridi Vartate, these witches can manifest, the witch of material enjoyment and mukti. These, Rupa Goswami is saying this verse, these witches can manifest in the heart unless we're moving forward. So Mahaprabhu simultaneously, he didn't just give us an empty goal. He gave us the petrol to put into the car to drive towards the goal. What is the petrol? Harinam, Harinam. Kaler dosha nidhi rajan asti hyeko mahan guna. Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha paro vijat. That this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nidhi rajan. Nidhi means ocean. Kali dosha nidhi rajan, king. He's talking to Parikshit Maharaj. Kali dosha nidhi rajan asti hyeko mahan guna. That this Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, except there's one abiding quality, that we have this Mahamantra. And especially during this month of Kartik, if we take our Vrat seriously, because we'll be supported, don't doubt. If you've actually decided to increase your Vrat, your absorption in Nam, then Krishna, through the potency of Yoga Maya, will facilitate all the other activities that you thought you absolutely had to do, to make you realize that these are very, very secondary. In the light of the welfare of my soul, if the sadhak is seriously concerned for the welfare of his soul, if that's his prime objective, then he will just look with disdain on anything that distracts him from that focus. And we have so much support. We're going to find out today when we go to Radha-Damodara, when we go to Shyama Sundar, how the acharyas, they've gifted us so much. So this is Imli-tala. So we have beautiful kirtans here while we're there. There's a beautiful murti of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there now. And it's a very, very sacred place for the devotees to meditate on this pastime that I've described, of Krishna experiencing himself meditation, separation, and Mahaprabhu tasting something of the flavor of Radhika's separation in Imlitala. So now we proceed just a very short distance through one gully, and we come into the forest of Seva-kunja. This is a very, very extremely powerful place. Because I said at the beginning, this whole area is actually called Seva-kunja, but the heart of Seva-kunja is where we're going to go right now. Into this high, we go through the gates and it's all trees, and now they have a monkey grill all the way around so we can walk around without being disturbed by the monkeys. And then we come in the center to the little temple. It's only a small temple, but what is there in the little temple? It's Krishna massaging Sri Radhika's feet, and he's given her his flute and peacock feather. So how significant is this? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has surrendered himself completely to Sri Radhika, utterly, for the sake of the ras between them. We understand that this is called the Yog Pit. There are 3 Yog Pits in Braj. The first is Guptakund, beside Brindakund in Nandagaon, just behind. A Yog Pit means where either in Aprakat or Prakat Leela, all of the gopis come and they all worship Radha and Krishna with extreme beauty and opulence. They're all worshipping Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna are sitting on a lotus in the center, and all the Astasakis are around them, the Manjaris are all around them, and they're all glorifying Radha and Krishna directly. And the first is in Guptakund, just behind Brindakund. And the second is in Radhakund at midday. This is the second great meeting. Yog Pit means the great meeting between the gopis and Krishna. And the third is in Seva-kunja in the evening. And this place is described as being so potent that if one remains there at night, and there's been histories of many people trying to stay there at night, they become completely insane. Even the monkeys leave Seva-kunja at night. No one stays in Seva-kunja at night if they've got some brain. But if there's some mad foreigner and he thinks, oh, I'll crack the gates of heaven by staying in Seva-kunja, they will just crack their own brain. People have been found dead in the morning. This is the truth. Seva-kunja is the most sanctified of all holy places. Why? Because Radha and Krishna performed their incredible ras there on all kinds of levels. It's described that all the 12 rasas manifest in Seva-kunja. So I want to read the back cover of this beautiful book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, because it's describing very beautifully these 12 rasas. And if you haven't already read it, then I would encourage you to please read it. So this one short paragraph incorporates all the 12 rasas, so we can get a picture of these 12 rasas manifesting within Seva-kunja. So it's saying, this is when Krishna is lifting Govardhan Hill. It's not written about Seva-kunja, but at the same time, these 12 rasas are proclaimed by the acharyas to be manifested fully in Seva-kunja. So although Sri Krishna supported the great weight of Govardhan, he was devoid of pride, Shantaras. He smiled when he saw the small boys were prepared to hold up the hill, Hastya and Vatsalya. So there's the 5 principal rasas, and there's the 7 gona rasas that are being described here. He spit at the smell of musty yogurt, vibhats. Vibhats is a secondary rasa of disgust, but it's still a rasa. It's considered a gona rasa. He displayed tremendous prowess to lift Govardhan in the presence of his beloved friends, Sakya and Viraha ras. Viraha means like chivalry. Like yesterday we were hearing about Talvan. The Sakas were inspiring Krishna.
Veer or Viraha?
Viraha.
Okay.
Veer.
Veer.
Yes. Veer. Yes. Veer. Veera. V-I-R-A. How do you say that?
Veera.
Veera. So the Sakas were inspiring Krishna to become like the hero. Krishna's always the hero. And the young boys, Sakas, they like to see Krishna as the hero. That's why they encouraged him to go to Talvan and defeat those demons. So he looked at Indra with red eyes, Rodra, angry eyes. Tears came in his eyes when he saw the residents of Braj tormented by the powerful wind and rain, Karunaras, this compassion mood. He trembled before his respectful elders and on account of having spoiled the Indra Yagya. So this is when he's holding Govardhan Hill and it's all raining so much. This is Dasya and Bhayanka. Bhayanka means fear, fearful. His eyes widened at the torrential downpour of water. Adbhuta, astonishing. He was astonished by the rain. And his hair stood on end when he saw the young girls, Madhurya. May that Lord Giridhari protect you. So that's just an example of the 12 rasas as applied to Giridhari. But also we can understand in Seva-kunja, it's the same principle that these 12 rasas are going to be manifested between the gopis and Krishna. And also it's described by my Gurudev that the 8 types of heroine, they also, the 8 types of nayak, they also manifest in this Seva-kunja. This is Abhisarika. Abhisarika means they're running very enthusiastically to the place of meeting. Abhisarika, this is the first. Then there's Vasaja Saja. This is when they're decorating the kunj in great enthusiasm for the impending meeting with Krishna. So the gopis are all there, Radhika's there. Radhika very often is decorating it herself. Then there's Utkantika, Utkandita. This means very enthusiastically waiting for Krishna, but Krishna hasn't actually come yet. He's actually late. So there's some unhappiness within this heroine of Ukandita. And then there's Kandita, when Krishna hasn't come at all at the required time, or he's come and he's got marks of another gopi on his back, on his body. This is called Kandita. And then the, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th type is Kala Hantarika. Kala Hantarika is when Radhika becomes so angry with Krishna for coming late that she orders him out of the kunj. So this is Kala Hantarika. This is a type of heroine. Understand, Radhika has all these characteristics and nature, and Krishna loves every single one of them. They're all very special. Krishna knows what's going to happen when he comes, and he's all covered in different marks from another romance. He's not like misunderstanding what's going to happen, obviously, but he knows what this will inspire in Radhika, and this will be conducive for the rasa, ultimately, because the next stage after this Kalahantarika is Swadhina Bhartika. This is when Krishna, Radhika has fully controlled her beloved. Krishna is so ashamed of what he's actually done, how he's missed the meeting, etc. He's offering Radhika his flute and peacock feather. And Radhika is now the queen of the kunj. Put my nupura on, my ankle bells on, tidy my hair, dress me properly, go and get some flowers. Krishna is doing anything. And Krishna, he loves this opportunity to serve Sri Radhika. Why does Sri Radhika go in these high stages of man? It's so that Krishna will have an opportunity to serve her. That's why she goes into man. I mean, she's not separate from Krishna in any way. The last thing she wants to do is to make Krishna unhappy, but going into man makes him very happy, because Krishna has to roll his sleeves up and he has to really work hard to break and pacify Radhika's man. So Krishna is satisfied with that. But the external aspect is he's not satisfied. He's completely unhappy. And Radhika is also. But she's controlling her lover. And then there's Vipralabdha, when there's separation from the two. Vipralabdha. And then there's Prosita Bhartika. This is when the lover has gone to another place. So these are the 8 types, I think I've said all 8 types of Nyayika, the heroine. So these 8 types of heroine, they all manifest in this sacred place of Seva-kunja. Excuse me, such a bad cold. They all manifest in Seva-kunja. And the devotees, we can hear about these pastimes. So this ras was taking place in Seva-kunja. And at that time, the Sakis became very thirsty. There was no water there at that time. So Krishna, by his flute, he manifested a beautiful kund for Lalita Saki. So we have Lalita Kund there in Seva-kunja. But all these types of pastimes we can meditate on deeply and significantly when we come to this place. This is it's conducive for hearing these types of pastimes when you're sitting there. The atmosphere is heavy with wonder. The atmosphere all around us, it's intense. Its nature is intense. You can sense it if you have any sensitivity. If you've been chanting sufficiently, you will immediately sense all these things. If you're not chanting, it'll just be blank, a blank screen. You won't actually get it, because Mahaprabhu has given us the fuel to wake up our consciousnesses, and our consciousness will wake up and they will appreciate aspects like I'm describing, the atmosphere. And when they wake up, then we will inquire, oh, what did Radha and Krishna do here? What are the types of nayiks? What are the different rasas that actually took place here? What are the pastimes that took place here? So as soon as the sadhak is inquiring about those things, Yogamaya will make arrangement for the sadhak to hear all those truths will come from the pure devotees or from the realized siddha bhaktas. They will actually somehow or other miraculously manifest. And these explanations will be given to us very clearly. So we stay for some time in Seva-kunja, absorbing. We sit in the little temple, and my Gurudev would explain always so many beautiful pastimes there. Radha and Krishna meeting in the evening time. This is always evening time pastimes. Morning time is Gupta Kund, Vrinda Kund. Midday is Radha Kund, Shyama Kund pastimes. So these meetings in the evening at Seva-kunja are most intoxicating for the devotees to become immersed in these descriptions. So now we've been in Imli-tala. Actually, these places we're going to today are all completely connected with each other. I was appreciating this morning when I was looking at it's like they're all completely. We start off with appreciation of Mahaprabhu. We come to the highest place of Seva-kunja, and now we're going to the place of all the sadhus, which is like the Damodara temple, the mandir. This is where we're going to go, and then we go to Shyamasundara at the end. So it's all connected completely with Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna's pastime. How can we think of Mahaprabhu without thinking of Radha and Krishna's pastimes? What does Mahaprabhu meditate on when he first wakes up? He thinks of Radha and Krishna in Nishanta Lila. This is described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In his Astakalya Lila meditation, Mahaprabhu is meditating on the pastimes in Vrindavan between Radha and Krishna. This is what his meditation is. So now we just come a little way out of Seva-kunja. We go down a gully and we go to our left and we come into the ancient temple of Radha-Damodara. This temple was actually principally established by Jiva Goswami on the inspiration from Rupa Goswami. Within the courtyard, when we come in, is the samadhi of Rupa Goswami is there. And one time it was on Rupa Goswami's Tirubhav, and we were all making our way there with my Gurudev, and someone asked Gurudev the question, what's actually in the samadhi? And my Gurudev said, nothing. Nothing is in the samadhi. I mean, he's not present within the samadhi. This is what he told us. So he has that vision. But there's a remembrance that hundreds and thousands and millions of people have all placed their thoughts on Rupa Goswami in that place. So that place has become potent by the expressions of all those people offering all their prayers over the last 500 years to that stali, that place. Where actually Rupa Goswami left his body, I don't know entirely. But this is what try to use your imagination, try to use your deeper sense of perception here. Not everything is blocked out like that logically. They didn't have records keeping all the exact times and events and so on like that at that time. So we are depending on the words of our acharyas to enlighten us on all of these topics, not on our own mental speculation. If we try to judge it, like I said, 300 million gopis, if we try to judge it materially, we'll just be lost in a sea of bewilderment. So we come in and we have Rupa Goswami in the center. His samadhi is there and his bhajan kutia is there. And no doubt whatsoever, Rupa Goswami was here. And Rupa Goswami, his presence, these personalities are so transcendental. He has a presence of his personality there. So most assuredly, his presence is there. But the actual samadhi perhaps is not his actual samadhi. So, but here we hear the glories of everything is emanating from Rupa Goswami. And just as Mahaprabhu used Rupa Goswami as the channel for his teachings, Rupa Goswami uses Jiva Goswami for the channel of his teachings. Everything is manifest in the writings of Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami gifted us 400,000 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses. So 400,000 verses. This is really extensive. This is the erudition of Jiva Goswami. And he spent his young formative years under the tutelage of Rupa Goswami entirely. He was collating his books, etc., preparing his parchments, preparing his ink pen, etc., massaging Rupa Goswami, taking care of him completely. He was his shishya, completely. So he spent many, many years with Rupa and knew his moods, knew his heart better than anyone else. That's why he had the ability to manifest 400,000 verses in glorification, principally of Rag Marg. They're all granthas that are pointing to the nectarian pastimes between Radha and Krishna. But it's also laced with very powerful philosophy. He gave us in the university in Varanasi, where Jiva Goswami stayed for some time. They have a whole separate department just for Jiva Goswami. If you go to Varanasi sometime, you can find that library. Every single book of Jiva Goswami is there in that library, mostly in Hindi, of course. But Jiva Goswami was so prolific, relating to us the heart of Rupa Goswami. So this temple, this mandir, we have 4 deities when we first come in. So the first deity, I think, is Radha-Madhav, and this Radha-Damodara rather. So this Radha-Damodara are the deities that Jiva Goswami himself worshipped, and it's described that it was Rupa Goswami who manifested these deities. Rupa Goswami made those deities of Radha-Damodara, and Jiva Goswami worshipped those deities. And then there's the deities of Krishna's Kaviraj, this Vrindavan, Radha Vrindavan Chandra. These are because we see these 4 huge deities in front of us. Excuse me. And then we have the exquisite Radha-Madhav deities. These are the deities of Jayadev Goswami. Jayadev Goswami also has his samadhi here. He has his samadhi here in the courtyard. There's more than 64 samadhis are there. And if we look around at all the different personalities who are there, we have Srila Vamana Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Vamana Maharaj is residing there. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he's there. My Gurudev is there. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is there. Jiva Goswami Pad is there. Who else? Burgaba Goswami is there. Who else? Who? Yes, I said Krishnadas Kaviraj. Who? Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, yes.
All the acharyas are
Yes. All the why are they all there? Because they're all honoring Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. When Rupa Goswami left this manifest world, then it was Jiva Goswami who became the Mahant of Vrindavan. He organized and he correlated all the Shastras. He arranged for printing of the books. He arranged for the books to be widely distributed. we hear the beautiful pastime of Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamananda, how they took the books, a whole wagon full of books, across to Bengal and Orissa also. So Jiva Goswami was at the helm here for many, many years. He was at the helm, and he was nourishing his shishyas. His shishya principally was Narottam, Shyamananda, and Srinivasacharya. These three personalities. We're going to hear about Shyamananda today, but these three personalities were his backbone of they were his principal students. So Jiva Goswami has a very powerful presence there, and we see his samadhi. It's very beautiful. There's a diorama of Jiva Goswami, and if you look at it closely, he's looking very intensely. He has a very intense expression on his face, as does Rupa Goswami. But don't doubt these personalities aren't present. Definitely these person. We know the beautiful pastime of our beloved Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He has his large kutia here, where he spent so many years, and we have the beautiful pastime that one night, one man who lives outside of Radha-Damodara, he was hearing this weeping many nights in a row. And one night he got up late in the night, midnight something, and looked out of the window, and he saw Prabhupada was sweeping around the kunja of Rupa Goswami, crying out, "Ha Rupa, Ha Sanatan, give me the potency to take this message to the Malechas, to the Western worlds. Give me the potency to do this." And we know that he was gifted with that potency to actually perform that. Only the Westerners know what a miracle Prabhupada did. Indians don't know the nature of that miracle, because only we know how fallen we are. The Indians, they can't imagine how fallen the Westerns actually are. But we know that. So we are aware of the immensity of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's compassion upon us. We were worse than Jagai and Madai. And yet he came from Vrindavan just with a couple of packets of oats, thinking that he wouldn't have anything else to eat. All they ate was meat. That was all he was thinking. He had 40 rupees or $40 in his pocket, 3 Bhagavatams. Nothing. Can you imagine an old man, 70 years old, never left India before, and coming out of India just had 2 heart attacks on that Jaladuta steamer, and getting off in Boston Harbor, and then walking amongst all those Westerners? How? And he's just come from immersion in Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan and Jiva Goswami, completely immersed. When we're in Vrindavan now, what is the most sacred thing in Vrindavan? It's the dust of Vrindavan. The dust will always remain. The dust is the most sacred object of Vrindavan, because Krishna and Balaram themselves, all the Sakis, they all walked through the dust. There's nothing more sacred than the dust in Vrindavan. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he came fully coated with the dust of Vrindavan into this very, very foreign environment. And his adventures there are just extreme. His typewriter was taken, his script for the Gita was actually gone. But he had so much faith in Krishna. He has exemplified his faith to us by, when we read his recounting of those pastimes, we can see his nishta practically never wavered. It's actually described that many days he would go to the dock and see if there was a return trip to India. He would go to the harbor and look at the listings and see, was there a trip back to India, because he just didn't want to stay, but somehow something would manifest and he would reconcile and he would remain. But nevertheless, it's described that he went there. He says himself, many times I would go and look at the lists and see, would it be possible just to get on a boat and go back to India? How much was he feeling separation from India? We can't imagine, because of his exalted spiritual condition and his appreciation for service to Sri Radhika. He's completely dedicated, sold out to Sri Radhika, 1,000,000%. Radhe, 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 Radhe. Why did he sing Jai Radha Madhava every single day of his life practically? He was singing all these beautiful bhajans, totally surrendered, submissive manjari of Sri Radhika, without a doubt. My Gurudev has said fully. Otherwise, how could he be in our line? Our line is only Manjari Bhav. Rupa Manjari, Sanatan, Lavanga Manjari, Jiva, Vilas Manjari. Narottam is also Vilas Manjari. Shyamananda is Kanak Manjari. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is Vinod Manjari. They're all Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Kamala Manjari, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, Vinod Manjari, my Gurudev, Raman Manjari. They all, because this is Radhika's line, her Gaudiya line, her golden line. This is her Sampradaya. And Mahaprabhu is manifesting his teachings to the conditioned souls within the encompassing boundaries of Radhika's mercy. And if we read the songs of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Dekite Dekite, so many, what's that, Radha Charan Padma, so many beautiful, Vrishabhanu Sutta, so many beautiful, beautiful prayers to invoke the mercy and kripa of Sri Radhika. So we can never be in any doubt at all that Sri Radhika is our Ishtadev, Sri Radhika. And how can we come to appreciate that except through following carefully the precepts that Mahaprabhu has given us? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has opened that out so beautifully in his Dasmula. He goes very beautifully through the 9 prameyas of how to actually achieve this goal. 3 prameyas about Krishna, 3 prameyas about the Jiva, then Achintya Bheda Tattva, then Sadhan Bhakti, then Priti. All of these teachings are gifted very easily. What is it we don't have? Why could we be lamenting for anything when we have such a wealth of material at our disposal? So Jaidev Goswami, he's also here in his samadhi, and we know his beautiful prayer when he was writing his commentary, and he couldn't write that actually Krishna, because Jaidev Goswami is in the 13th century. So understand the time sequence here. Back in the 13th century, because Mahaprabhu had not advented, how could such a mystic wonder person as Jaidev Goswami, even though he had all of that amazing erudition and potency, he could not appreciate Raganuga Bhakti because Mahaprabhu had not advented. Nobody can really appreciate Raganuga Bhakti until Mahaprabhu manifests these teachings. It's Mahaprabhu who has come to give this teaching. Previously, it was all Aishwarya Bhav. But Jaidev Goswami is very different. Jaidev Goswami writes about the very esoteric meetings between Radha and Krishna in his Gita Govinda. But when it came to this one verse, Smaragarala Kandana, Mama Sirasi Mandana, Dehi Padapalavam, Udara, he could not write this verse that Krishna has surrendered his flute and peacock feather at the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. He couldn't write this verse. Krishna himself had to come and write this verse. So this is a glorification of Mahaprabhu by remembering Jaidev Goswami. By remembering Jaidev Goswami's, we can say limitations in the sense that we had to be exposed to the teachings of Mahaprabhu. So when if you know where Srila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Maharaj's little samadhi is, and if you come around the corner in the Radha-Damodara compound, then there's another little like gully, and there is Jiva Goswami, Jaidev Goswami is sitting there in his samadhi form. It's a very nice, there was one devotee called Sonaka Rishi, an American. He fixed up that samadhi very nicely. And the Westerners have done many nice improvements, although it's contentious, whatever. But this is Radha-Damodara. So I'm sure I've missed out so many personalities here. Has anyone, can you think of anybody that I've missed out? In this?
Birhambir's samadhi is also there.
Who?
Birhambir and his wife, the king.
Oh, the king, yes, that Shyamananda preached to, or Srinivasacharya preached to in Bengal. So all understand the connection between where we've been. From Imlitala, we've heard about Mahaprabhu and Krishna's pastimes. Then we came to Seva-kunja, and it opened out more of Krishna and the gopis' pastimes and the different types of rasa, etc. And now we've come to, where is this all written down from? It's all written down by all these Goswamis. And particularly for the understanding of the Western devotees, we've been gifted all this by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So, and Rupa Goswami, the head of our line, resides there in the Radha-Damodara Mandir. And also Burgabo Goswami is there. He's the uncle of Lokanath Goswami. He's elder than Lokanath Goswami. So Lokanath Goswami has his samadhi in the Gokulananda Mandir. So Vrindavan really embodies the resting place of so many great saints and personalities. And by hearing about these personalities, we can come closer to the truths and so on that these personalities wanted to gift the jiva. And what are those truths? They're all opening out the gifts of Mahaprabhu, all of them. Mahaprabhu gave everything, even in his Shikshastikam, everything was there. There was nothing missing. Absolutely everything is there within the Shikshastikam. But he empowered Sanatan Goswami, he empowered Rupa Goswami, he empowered Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj. Krishnadas Kaviraj took shelter of Radha Madan Mohan to write his scripture, this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we see their moods, their complete submissiveness to these personalities, to these deities. So now we're going to leave the Radha-Damodara, and I'm sure I probably made many omissions at Radha-Damodara, but we have a fixed amount of time. But you get the flavor. I want you to get the flavor of this place and the opportunity to pray and to move into the moods and bhavs of these esteemed personalities, to make our own progress out of the material conditioned life. So now, instead of going to the left, where we usually go, out of the gate of Radha-Damodara, coming around to Sringaravat, we're going to go to the right, and we're going to go up the street a little way, only a little way, and we reach just before the top of the street where Loy Bazaar goes down, and we take a right into a temple there of Shyama Sundar, Radha-Shyamsundar. So this Radha-Shyamsundar Thakurji was manifested by Baladev Vidyabhushan. He manifested this deity. But Baladev Vidyabhushan has a very, very close connection with Shyamananda. And right in the entrance to the temple, there's the samadhi of Shyamananda. And this was the inspiring point for Baladev Vidyabhushan to remain there and manifest those deities. Because Baladev Vidyabhushan, he was born in Orissa, near Remuna, and he was an incredibly gifted personality, had great memory and so on, was a great scholar, and he studied diligently all the different bhasyas of the time, the Sankara bhasya, etc., all the Mayavad bhasyas also. He studied all of these. And then he went to Mysore, and he studied further there. Then he went to Udupi, and he studied with the Tattvavadis, yes, with Madhava Acharya's group there. And he was examining all the different bhasyas, etc. And then he had the fortune to meet his name is Radha-Damodara. Is his name? Yes. Radha-Damodara, who was a disciple of Rasikananda. Rasikananda is a disciple of Shyamananda. So when we consider Shyamananda's glories, they are really extensive, and a lot of history is actually written about Shyamananda. He has an amazing contribution, especially in the land of Orissa. Shyamananda took his birth there in 1535, which is 1 year after Mahaprabhu departed. Mahaprabhu departs in 1534. So Shyamananda was born in 1535. And from his very childhood, he was exhibiting extraordinary characteristics and abilities to study, etc. And he had an amazing character, very attractive personality. He was very tall and very proficient in all the shastras. And he was called Dukidas initially because his parents had had 6, 7 other children and they'd all died at birth. So his parents somehow or other thought if we call him Dukidas, then it'll keep away any Bhuta or someone that's going to take his life. I can't quite figure the logic of that, but that's what they decided anyway. If we call him Dukidas. And at about the age of 18, he wanted to travel to meet other Vaishnavas, but his parents didn't want him to go. So he ran away from home at 18, demonstrating his complete nishta for his journey on this path. Because in India, the dynamic in the families is very, very strong. You don't just run away from home in India. I mean, his parents were so loving. He was their pet child because after 6 or 7 deaths of their previous daughters, then they finally got a child, they absolutely worshipped him and adored him. But nevertheless, when he was 18, he went into Bengal and he comes to Ambika Kalna and he meets at that time Hriday Chaitanya. Hriday Chaitanya is a disciple of Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit was residing there with these huge deities of excuse me, huge deities of Gaur-Nitai. And we know the pastime that when Mahaprabhu and Nityananda were about to leave, Gauridas Pandit grabbed them and said, no, you can't leave. So then Mahaprabhu manifested these deities for him to worship. And then the deities started to walk away and other deities were on the altar. And Gauridas Pandit was saying, no, you have to stay. I don't want the deities. So the forms of Nityananda and Mahaprabhu, they exchanged 3 or 4 or 5 times just to demonstrate that this is really us. And when you go there, it'll pass, just a little fit that comes. These deities were extraordinary. And there's a beautiful pastime about Hriday Chaitanya because he was serving Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit in Krishna Lila is Subal Saka. He's one of the Dwadasa Gopals of Nityananda Prabhu. Of Nityananda Prabhu. So, I think I should take a glass of water. So his mood is very much Sakya Bhav. So, thank you. So, there was a time when his name was called just Chaitanya Das previously, Hriday Chaitanya. And Gauridas had left the ashram. Chaitanya Das was his student, disciple. And he instructed Chaitanya Das to take care of all the ashram and so on. And he was going away for a few days preaching. This is Gauridas Pandit. He was going away for a few days preaching. So when he went away, the time for the celebration of Gorpanim was practically upon them. So Chaitanya Das wanted to prepare the festivities for that day of Gorpanim. So he started to collect rice and dal, etc., like that. But then Goridas came back and was very, very angry at the independent mood that Chaitanya had demonstrated. And who did he think he was to arrange a festival without the sanction of his Guru Maharaj, the Goridas Pandit? So he rejected him from the ashram at that time. He said, you go out and you can have a festival by yourself on the bank of the Ganga. But Chaitanya was such a charismatic person. He was doing beautiful kirtan on the bank of the Ganga, and one wealthy boat merchant stopped and donated him so much foodstuffs and for a festival, because Chaitanya was saying, we're going to have a festival here for Gorpanim. And he was sure that his guru would actually appreciate that. And then many, many people gathered at that spot with Chaitanya Das. And the kirtan, which began then, was so ecstatic and electric and so potent that even it attracted Mahaprabhu and Nityananda off the altar from Goridas's place. And they came there. And when Goridas and the Pujari went in to make the offering, they found the deities had gone. And then they could hear this thunderous kirtan on the bank of the Ganga. So Goridas, he understood, oh, the deities, they've gone to attend that kirtan. So he became very angry. He is Subal Saka. He's like as good as Krishna. They have that completely fluent, just like Abhiram Das Thakur. If you go to the holy place of Abhiram Das Thakur, you see Abhiram Das Thakur is on the altar. He's wearing a peacock feather with Krishna. Why not? They're brothers. They're completely the same. There's no distinction there. They're that mood. Krishna would see them like that. So Subal Saka is a Priyanam Saka. So he also had that mood. So he grabbed a stick and he went in great anger to that kirtan. And when Mahaprabhu and Nityananda saw Goridas coming, what did they do? They jumped into the heart of Chaitanya Das. And Subal Saka was, Goridas was totally melted. And then he gave him the name Hridai. Hridai means heart. Hridai Chaitanya. So from that pastime, his name became Hridai Chaitanya. Now, it's that Hridai Chaitanya who initiated, he was originally Dukhi Krishna, but he gave him the name Krishna Das. And then he stayed in that ashram for some time, and after some time, he wanted to go to Vrindavan. So, Hridai Chaitanya, yes, you go to Vrindavan, and you take shelter of Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami is the presiding Mahant, and he will give you all understanding of Tattva and Siddhanta. So Shyamananda Prabhu, he goes there, and he's many, many years, 7, 8 years, being guided by Jiva Goswami. At that time, Jiva Goswami, he actually gives him another name, a more Rasik name of Shyamananda. He gives him this name. And then there's many pastimes connecting there, but there's a beautiful pastime where Shyamananda Prabhu, he's cleaning the kunj with a broom. And to his amazement and astonishment, he founds the ankle bell of Sri Radhika. And this ankle bell is not from this world. He knows this is a transcendental ankle bell. It's like shining, glistening. There's a complete powerful aura about this ankle bell. So he tells Jiva Goswami about it, and Jiva Goswami tells him, the person who owns that ankle bell will come back and request for it. And you should tell them, don't give it to anybody except the actual owner of it. If Lalita and Vishaka come to request it for their Swamini, you say no. Your Swamini has to actually come and collect it. So Shyamananda, he does like that. And first of all, Lalita and Vishaka, they come requesting the ankle bell that he's found because they understand he's found it. For their Swamini, he says, no, I'll only give it back to Sri Radhika. So Sri Radhika blesses him with darshan of her lotus feet. And at that time, she takes that nupur, that ankle bell, and she plants it onto his forehead. And it becomes the most exquisite tilak. But it's branded into his forehead, can't be changed. So Shyamananda Prabhu, he's walking around in Vrindavan with this completely different tilak that no one's ever seen before. But because it was gifted by Sri Radhika, he feels very, very, very proud of this tilak. And Jiva Goswami, he understands But word got back to Hridaya Chaitanya about Shyamananda. First of all, he changed his name. Now he's wearing different tilak. Who does he think he is? We get this impression that the acharyas at that time were very, very strict, just like Rupa Goswami was very strict with Jiva Goswami, because we can err very easily off this straight and narrow track. It's very simple. Today, so many people are erring all over the place and deviating. But in those days, this was when the roots of this Gaudiya line was going to be placed in the channel for people's hearts, for posterity. So it had to be done very, very carefully. So Gauridas Pandit comes across enraged, and not Gauridas, Hridaya Chaitanya, enraged with Shyamananda. Shyamananda is so humble. He doesn't say anything. He just bows his head and just accepts the chastisement. But then Hridaya Chaitanya has a dream at night, and Sri Radhika appears in his dream, said, I gave him this tilak. And then Hridaya Chaitanya is completely in awe and appreciation of his great disciple. So this is the story of the Nupur, that ankle bell. But after some time, because we should understand something of the history here, that after Mahaprabhu left Puri, the Patana Muslims, I think that's what they're called, the Patanas. You know the history? You don't know the history. Patans, yes, the Patans. They were very strong, and they went all the way down, and it's described they actually desecrated the Jagannath temple. And they chased out Prataparudra, even his son Purushottam. He had to go another place. So it was great confusion in Orissa. And Shyamananda had been born on the border of Orissa and Bengal. So he was like an Oriyan, actually, in his language, etc. So because so much of the Vaishnavism had been compromised because of these Muslims, many people became very afraid. They didn't want to continue their practices. All the practices that Mahaprabhu had inaugurated became scattered. His main preaching, Mahaprabhu, was through Nityananda and Advaita Acharya up here in Bengal, and Haridas. That went on very, very powerfully. But in Orissa, it really went down, because Mahaprabhu wasn't directly preaching there except to his own Nityasudha Parikas. So Shyamananda, he had an enormous task in front of him, because Jiva Goswami was encouraging him, you should just go to preach now in Orissa. So we know the story of the books. He came across with Srinivas and Narottam, and the books were apparently stolen by that king, Birhamba, in the in the way before they got to Bengal. Then Narottam, he comes into Bengal, and he goes to his residence place. What's the residence place called again? It's near Ramkeli in the north. I thought my mind was going grey, but it seems like everyone's mind is going grey. Anyway, you find that out and tell me. I think it begins with a K. Anyway, Narottam was preaching there, and Shyamananda, he left for Orissa. And because of his characteristic as a very charismatic personality. Huh? No, that's not it. No. We have the first Gopani festival. Keturi-dham, that's it, yes, Keturi-dham. Keturi-dham is the birthplace of the place of Narottam Das. And his brother had become the king of that place, Santosh. So Shyamananda Prabhu, he travels all over Orissa. And there's beautiful descriptions of how the preaching used to be in those days. They used to plan for 6 or 7 months in advance huge, huge festivals and get cartloads of grain, etc. And they used to have these big, big festivals for weeks and weeks, and thousands of people would come. And then they would have tremendous kirtans. And Shyamananda Prabhu, he made thousands of disciples at these places. It's described that they weren't all, really erudite necessarily. Shyamananda Prabhu is not a Brahmin, but he made some Brahmin disciples. which caused great contention at that time, just like Narottam. Narottam also had the same difficulty because he wasn't born in a Brahmin family. So he also had to contend with the Smartas. But because of their purity, they managed to go ahead with their preaching. So Shyamananda Prabhu, he made all those disciples, and he basically, it's described that he, with the help, he made one particular disciple called Rasikananda. Rasikananda was also a very, very powerful personality. And between the two of them, they were able to practically influence all of Orissa at that time and bring it back a long way towards the Vaishnavism that's there today, that we have there. So Shyamananda Prabhu was an incredible preacher, without a doubt. And he went a number of times, 3 or 4 times to Vrindavan in between. And he married and had children and so on. And his life is very rich to actually appreciate his seva mood to Mahaprabhu. They knew nothing except to propagate the mood and mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This had been inspired by Jiva Goswami into his heart, who had been inspired by Rupa Goswami in his heart, who had been inspired directly by Mahaprabhu. So see the current, it's all linked, because this is the only way to go forward in our devotion, is to connect with this current coming through the different personalities. So Shyamananda, he actually leaves his body ultimately in Vrindavan at that place. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan, who was very much influenced by Rasikananda. Rasikananda's disciple, this Radha-Damodara, is a disciple of Rasikananda. So when Baladev Vidyabhushan meets Rasikananda, then it's like everything just becomes very clear. Baladev Vidyabhushan has studied all the different Bhasyas, including the Mayavad Bhasyas, etc. But when he meets Radha-Damodara, then he's able to understand the nature of Rasa Tattva. Then something transforms in his heart at that time. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan, he comes to Vrindavan, and he spends the rest of his life under the guidance of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And we know his most wonderful contribution to this Gaudiya line is when he goes to Jaipur, because the king of Jaipur is being very much influenced by all these smarta Brahmins or the Ramanujas. They will not accept Sri Radhika on the altar. The king of Jaipur has heard about Radhika and he wants to worship Radha Govinda, but he's restricted by the smarta Brahmins. So the Vaishnavas there in Jaipur, they request Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, because he's the presiding Mahant at that time. This is maybe 200 years or more after Jiva Goswami that we're talking about now. So he was requesting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to please go there and contend with the smarta Brahmins for the sake of our sampradaya. But he was unable to do it because of his advanced age, so he couldn't travel that far to Jaipur. But he sent Baladev Vidyabhushan. Baladev Vidyabhushan arrived, and the smartas, they said, well, you have to have your Bhasya. You have to have your Vaishnava Bhasya, or we're not going to really, you have no authenticity. You have no scripture to base your conclusions on. You have to have the Bhasya. So at that time, Baladev Vidyabhushan, he goes to a place called Galta, which is in the mountains in Jaipur. It's right in Jaipur, but it's on top of one mountain. Very beautiful place. And he stays there for 7 days, and he manifests the entire Bhasya. And he attributes all of that writing and that Bhasya to Govinda Dev himself. He says continually, just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying, I am not writing, it's Madan Mohan who's writing. So Baladev Vidyabhushan is saying the same thing, this is not me. So these personalities had the ability to move out of the way. They had no false egos. So therefore, they could be fully empowered to actually present these remarkable truths to mankind for posterity. So there's there's a beautiful book here called Utkalika Valari. And this is written by Rupa Goswami. And in here, there's a beautiful commentary written by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. And I want to read it It's only short, but it'll give us a deeper appreciation for who is this Baladev Vidyabhushan. He's the Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya. So we have to know fully who and we're residing in his place in Shyamasundara temple. In the Shyamasundara temple, he established the deities there. So it's Baladev Vidyabhushan and Shyamananda that we're discussing in this particular place. This is the meditation we want to evoke. So my Gurudev is writing this, and he says, my supremely worshipful Gurudev, Sri Srimad Bhakti Praran Keshav Maharaj, demonstrated his veneration for the Gaudiya Vedanta and for Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan by using Prabhu's name in establishing the society Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. So this society that Param Gurudev established is coming from Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan's title. Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, and also in awarding his sannyas his sannyas disciples with the name Sri Bhakti Vedanta. This is also being attributed coming from Baladev Vidyabhushan. Bhakti Praran Keshav Maharaj was such an erudite personality. He was so deep in the philosophy of all the scriptures completely. So he wrote an article entitled Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Sri Baladev, in which he says Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan has an unbreakable relationship with Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti because he is a Rupanuga Vaishnava. Even though it's described in the Gauragyanaj Deepika that his name is Ratnavali Devi. All the others are given the name, like Shamananda is called Kanak Manjari. But Baladev Vidyabhushan is given the name in the Gauragyanaj Deepika of Ratnavali Devi. So I don't quite understand that part, but anyway. The Samiti has completely embraced his conduct and concepts and his method of bhajan. His stature as a follower of Sri Rupa Goswami is proven in his voluminous writings. He also writes, when we talk about Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, the first thing that comes to our mind is his commentary on Vedanta called Govinda Bhasya. So this is what we've just described. He got together in Galta, for which is held in great repute by the Vaishnavas of the four Sampradayas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is non-different from Gaura Shakti Gadadhar, has proclaimed, Vidyabhushan Mahashai is a special luminous star in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. After the six Goswamis, no one has done welfare for the Sampradaya as he has done. By this, we understand he must be one of the eternal associates of Sriman Mahaprabhu. So I said from the very beginning, our whole parikrama is completely connected to the current of Mahaprabhu manifesting in this world, from Imlitala to Seva-kunja to Radha-Damodara, now to Baladev Vidyabhushan. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu in Jaipur at Galta, Prahad, hosted the victory flag for the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and in doing so he established its eminent position within the Madhva Sampradaya. This service in the Sampradaya proves that he is indeed a Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnava, because some claim that he's not. This is why my Gurudev is making it very clear here. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan is the initiated disciple of Sri Radha-Damodara. This is what we've already described. He was initiated disciple of Sri Radha-Damodara, and then who was a disciple of Rasikananda, who is in the family of Shyamananda, the follower of Sriman Mahaprabhu. Shyamananda Prabhu was under the guidance of the one-pointed Rupanuga Srila Jiva Goswami. This connection proves that Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan is also a Rupanuga Vaishnava. Furthermore, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan was the prominent Sakshat disciple of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is well known as the second Sri Rupa. Therefore, there is no doubt about Srila Baladev being a Rupanuga. Attaining the mercy of Sri Govinda Dev, who is the treasure of Sri Rupa Goswami's life, he was able to keep the deity's seva going without break. What doubt can remain regarding Sri Baladev's position as Rupanuga when he has attained the mercy of both Rupa Goswami as well as his worshipful Sri Govindaji? He belonged to both the Panchatriki, Diksha, and the Bhagavat Parampara's Shiksha, the two streams flowing together in him, yet he established the authenticity and charm of Bhagavat Parampara, which, as it is founded on the degree of proficiency in bhajan, is superior to Panchatriki. Panchatriki is headed by Narada Muni, and it's very much according to the injunctions of Shastra. But then the Bhagavat Parampara is according to the advancement in bhajan, not according to the rules and regulations of Panchatriki. So this is how it's described. Srila Baladevi Vibhushan has delineated a system of displic succession in his Prameya Ratnavali. By this it is clear, and then it goes on. But there's a beautiful verse here. Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj has written a verse in praise of him. Say Madhav Sampradaya, say Chaitanya Kula Raksha, Vedanta Charya Saradolo, Baladevo Mahamati. All glories to Sri Baladevi Vibhushan, who is the opulence of the Sri Madhava Sampradaya, the decoration of Sri Chaitanya's dynasty, the protector of Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and a great-minded, lion-like Acharya. So this is Baladevi Vibhushan. I'm going to read just any verse from this little book, and you'll get an appreciation of its rasik nature. So let me just see. O Shri Krishna, this is verse 36. O Shri Krishna, foremost of all the great dancers in Braj. O Shri Radha, crown jewel of all the lady dancers. When will that auspicious day come when your gorgeous moonlight faces tread the path of my vision? Faces imbued with nectarine mercy, faces which enamor the chakora bird hearts of the Sakis. Now, Baladevi Vibhushan has written a commentary on this. This book is by Rupa Goswami, but Baladevi Vibhushan has written a commentary on it. And it's only very short, but it's very, very intoxicatingly beautiful. My Gurudev translated it from the Hindi, and then we have an English edition. But it's a very wonderful book to appreciate the glories of Baladevi Vibhushan in his remarkable commentary. So I think I should stop now. But today, understand this beautiful verse, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishnam, Punya Shravanam Kirtanam, Hrid Ato Sto Hiya Badrani, Vidyanoti Shatap Shatam. This is saying that when one hears Harikatha in the month of Kartik or any time, that immediately purifies the chitta, the heart. And when the chitta becomes purified, then Krishna, he can reside in the heart of that sadhak. And all our fortune and auspiciousness will be manifested. So we should think like that. Okay, so all glories to Imlitala, all glories to Seva-kunja, all glories to Radha-Damodara, Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Krishna's Kaviraj, all glories to Shyamananda Prabhu, all glories to Baladevi Vibhushan Prabhu, all glories to Seva-kunja. This whole area is called Seva-kunja, so this is where we've been today. So we couldn't enter any of this without glorification of the Acharyas. It's by their prayers, by their compassion, that we are able to hear about any of these things and to pick up this understanding of the path very clearly, especially Rupa Goswami. Okay, so now we'll chant our Damodarastakam for the pleasure of the devotees. And we don't have a mridanga player today, but we'll do our best.
Namam Vishwaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasat kundalam gokul Vraja-mandalam Yasoda viyolukkalagamanam Aram ristam atyanta duducha gopya Rudantamuhurnetra yugmam rijantam Karam boja yugmena satankanetram Muhoshvasatam patriye ankatanta Sita Radha-Damodara anantivanam Iti Driksvalila be ananda kunde Svadoshami madhyantam adhyapayantam Tadeya shikavesu bhakyadhikavam Puna prematastam sadarvidande Varam deva moksham na mokshavalimda Natam yamrineha varishadapiya Idam deva purnata gopala balam Swadamivanasya virasya gopya Idam devokam bojam avyakta nilay Yutam kandavai siddharakasta gopya Muhosyam vitam bimba rakadharam me Manasya virasama vandakshavarai Namo Deva Damodara Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodha Jalabdi Magnam Vipadrisi Vrisyati Dinam Vatano Dinam Nijamannayam Viraksagopya Kuberatma Jobhadya Udyaiva Yadvat Svayam Jnito Bhakti Vajokritosha Yata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayacha Namaste Sri Damodareha Namaste Sudhanne Svurakiti Jame Svadhyodayata Vishwasudhamne Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya Namo Natalilaya Devaya Turyam Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya Namo Natalilaya Devaya Turyam Damodara Radha-Damodara Damodara Radha-Damodara Jaya-Damodara Radha-Damodara Damodara Radha-Damodara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha-Damodara Radha-Damodara Jaya Radha-Damodara Radha-Damodara Jaya Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radhe, Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe, Jaya Radhe Govinda Radhe, Jaya Radha Govinda Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Srimati Radharani Bhutravana Muni Bhajeshwari ki Jai. Jai Shila Gurudev ki Jai. Jai Vraja-mandala 2023 ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Gaur Prananandi Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavevyo Namaha. Vaishnavas ki Jai.